Thank you, Joey, and welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 27th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. We're called to order. We're going to call the roll. Alderman Barnhill.
Present.
Alderman Blanton.
Here.
Alderman Caesar.
Here.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
Alderman Berger.
Present.
Alderman Brown's absent. Alderman Potts absent. Alderman Baggett.
Present.
And the mayor's here. Okay, we're going to begin with an invocation offered by Alderman Barnhill. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance after that. If we'll please stand, and Alderman Barnhill.
Would you bow with me? Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight in prayer. Thank you for this community that we live in and for all the privileges and freedoms that we have. We know that we're truly a blessed community and a blessed nation, but we also know that there is strife and disagreement among a lot of the individuals here in this country. We ask that you be with each of our national leaders as they make the decisions which affect the country. It affects us individually. Give them the wisdom and guidance that they need to make those spiritual decisions. We also ask your blessings upon the individuals who provide the protection for our freedoms, our first responders. Bless them, take care of them. We ask that you be with our families. We know at times there are difficulties in protecting and being away from families. This prayer we offer in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's time to set the agenda. Are there any modifications in the agenda as published? Not, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is item for citizen comments on items not on the agenda. Have no speaker cards for that. Any communications from the Williamson County Commission? Seeing none, we'll continue to move on. The minutes are not finished for the May 13th, 2025 work session or Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. I would ask for a motion to defer to the June 10th meeting.
I move to defer to the June 10th meeting.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Okay. I always ask. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Are there any miscellaneous reports tonight? Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda, and all items on the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature with the governing body that will be approved as recommended by a committee or by staff by one motion of the governing body. The items on the consent agenda will not be discussed. We're looking at items 14 through 18. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill, motion by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 4, which is a resolution 2025-11 to annex one property consisting of 5.86 acres located at 4356 South Carruthers Road and adjoining the city limits within the eastern part of the Franklin urban growth boundary. This is the third and final reading. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 5, ordinance is ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance to rezone 204.86 acres from Plan PD 1.0 district to Plan PD 1.26 district, property located south of Murfreesboro Road, east of South Carruthers Road, including 4356 South Carruthers Road, Coletta Park PUD subdivision. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Thank
Second.
you. Second by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
No.
and Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes 5-1. Next is item 6, which is ordinance 2025-09, an ordinance to amend the City of Franklin Municipal Code, Appendix A, Comprehensive Fees and Penalties, Chapter 18, Water and Sewer, for the purpose of updating water and sanitary sewer user fees and impact fees for 2026, 27, and 2028, establishing a public hearing for June the 10th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second, Tim.
Seconded, the motion by Alderman Blanton, seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Did you want to make some comments? I'm sorry, I didn't look at you.
So you all in the ordinance need to pick option A or B for the water rates.
Okay.
Am I?
Described option.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. They're option A or B are essentially both the same rate increases, but they happen at different times. So for the three-year implementation period, I think option A is a difference. Oh, there it is on the screen. All right, so you'll see, so jumping back a minute, so you'll see sewer, so you'll see the 3-year implementation increase for sewer, with what you decided for the last time was we would reevaluate it after 3 years. There is a consistent 5.7 rate increase for 26 and 27 for sewer, and then it lowers down to 4.3 for 2028. That is sewer. So for water, you have 2 options that you need to select one of those options. They both entail increase for residential, commercial, and irrigation, but the years of those differ between 27 and 28. So for option A, 2027 is the same increase as 2026, and then for option B, it's a 6 in 2027 is a 6% increase, with a 2028 is the varied increase. I may not have said that.
Give us,
Question.
go ahead.
So in option A, we're just delaying it a year, is that correct?
Yes.
And then option B, the difference would be,
It's the same increases, they're just different years.
They appear to be the same.
It's inverted.
Yeah, 27 and 28 is they're swapped. That's the difference between the two options.
So 1 year, 6% across the
Yep.
board. And in one
Consistently.
scenario, it happens in 27, option B. One scenario, it happens in 28, which is option A. Correct?
But really,
no,
irrigation.
no.
I'm not sure that it matters that much. This was presented to you in Fernando's last presentation, so we wanted to give you
Well,
the
I'll go back to
option.
that
It's not a
original
huge
motion
difference.
made by Alderman Blanton. Would you like to clarify?
I will make an amendment to.
If you want to rephrase your.
I'll
original motion.
rephrase my motion to go with option A under the water.
And Alderman Barnhill, you previously seconded.
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. Any further discussion? Is there any question about it? Or we need any other explanation from Ms. Hatchard?
No, sir.
Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill,
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
And Alderman Berger.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll go to item 7. Consideration ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance to amend the budget of the City of Franklin for fiscal year 2024-25, establish a public hearing on June the 10th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote. Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 8 is ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance City of Franklin, Tennessee, adopting a budget for the FY 2025-26, providing an effective date, establishing a public hearing on June the 10th, 2025.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion.
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion?
Mayor, I have a question on this motion. Do we recommend in this item the higher or the lower rate, or we
I
just,
think that's 9.
is that the next one? Okay,
Yeah. Number 9.
got it.
Any other questions? Ready to vote?
I just saw the budget.
Alderman Barnhill,
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item number 9. Consideration ordinance 2025-14, an ordinance of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, establishing the municipal property tax levy for the fiscal year 2025-26, providing an effective date, establishing public hearing on June the 10th, 2025. If you would specify which option you're picking in the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax rate using option number 1.
Appropriate motion, second by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the text of the ordinance to 28.6 cents, which would be option 2 minus the, and equalizing the operational to 2.1 cents instead of the 2.5 cents. So that would change the text to read 28.6 cents in the text.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I'll second the amendment.
Is there any discussion on the amendment as presented?
Just because I made the motion and I'd like to, and I respect that the 32 was the original, but in order to have this conversation, had to do that. And really enjoyed our discussion earlier. I already said what I felt, which was that I don't want to have the Northwest Mac Hatcher rate included, but I'm open to that in the future if we have the outline projects in the CIP, if we weren't to get the Northwest. But at this time, that is what I feel like is best. But again, I think the citizens want roads, and this will do it. And I think gives us an opportunity to come back and get a line item, Invest Franklin 2.0 list of projects, so we can go to the public and say, for this additional tax, you're going to get these additional roads. And that's kind of what is missing for me right now. But that's where I'll leave that.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Not, you ready to vote on the amendment as presented by Alderman Baggett?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I think it's a very interesting amendment, Patrick, and I like the idea of the specific road projects. What I don't love is that I don't want to go back to the population and increase the taxes again and ask for a couple more dollars for other projects. I'd rather say, here's our, I'm not going to say what we're going to call this particular decision. I almost went there. But I'd rather us say we're going to set a vision to make significant transportation improvements that will include these items. And so maybe I would be more supportive of the 32 cents if we could agree that we're going to make significant transportation improvements. Maybe not the entire Northwest Loop of Mac Hatcher. And I know Alderman Barnhill, you have a fan in me in wanting to complete the circle, but I don't know that we're going to get it done under this tax, under this budget. And I hope that we get it done in my lifetime. But I do think that it would be appealing to the citizens of all of the city as an at-large alderman to look at some of the significant failing intersections and look if we can boost that for everyone. And if we could line item those projects, but not marry the tax to those projects because of the complexity administratively that might put us, not only the complexity, but the burden that might put us in administratively. I would love to see us fix some of those important roads on the northern side and on the western side of the city. Maybe we don't build the entire road, but some intersection improvements. If it's a $10 or $15 or $20 million intersection improvement, I'd love to be able to go back to the people that live along those roads and say, hey, things are going to get better. We're not going to get it where it probably needs to be if we have the state funding to support it, but we're going to make it as good as possible with what we have. And I could support 32 cents if we were able to do that.
Well, and I appreciate that. But the reality is you can't do all of that. Those additional, you're going to have to raise it again. Because if the state gives us Northwest, you're going to have to raise it again anyway. So we're really not. And then two, I've talked about the $30 million South Carruthers Road. That I've talked to staff. There's additional now we're looking at it again. Maybe there's some other fixes that don't require $30 million for that was prioritized on CIP. Then maybe it's just a couple of small improvements. That's $30 million that it was in our CIP that could be used for other things too. And so the fluidity, and that's why we asked for data. We asked for a more methodical approach to identifying those intersections and where that money is going to go to. And again, this is not actually the process failing. It's just the fact that the process was what it was, which is we didn't have all that to begin with. And so, look, and like I said, I that is a great way to approach it. For me, I don't feel like with some of those other items we have in the CIP, I'm not necessarily in agreement with. I want to reserve the increase for McCatcher Northwest or a specific list of projects, and I would vote for it. I'd vote for another increase again. Look, hard decisions, this is not a hard decision, frankly, when the money is going to something that the people want. I would do it again next year if we put a list of projects in front of the citizens and said, you're going to get all of this for this $100 more a year. You're going to get all these. That's just me. It's not a massive amount of money in people's pockets, but like you said, like it's coming from their pockets.
What you write the check for.
And so I want the clear project list. It's just a year away. We've got capacity in our CIP to do what you just said without this. It's now or later. And again, it's just how you approach it. I don't think I do think there's a right way because I made the motion, but I don't think that we're going in a wrong direction should we not choose to do it. It's just my approach. I understand.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Peterson.
now what you're talking about is option 2.
Option
It's a
two,
modified two.
but the operational just goes back and equals the 0.21 cents that was under option 1.
Well, to me, I see option 1, which is the pay the tax of 32 cents is what I think that we ought to do. Because that's going to bring more money in.
Okay, we're back to the amendment of the motion. Any further discussion on the amendment?
The amendment would be option 2.
Modified option 2.
Modified option 2, yeah. Okay, so we're going to do that first?
Well, this is an amendment to the motion which he wants to.
on the amendment.
No, we're voting on the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So Alderman Barnhill, we're voting on the amendment. How do you vote?
No.
Alderman Blanton,
No, sir.
Alderman Caesar,
Yes.
Alderman Peterson,
No.
Alderman Berger,
Yes.
and Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
3 to 3.
3 to 3.
All right.
And I vote against the amendment. It fails. Back to the original motion. Ready to vote on it? Any further discussion? Alderman Barnhill,
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
I'll vote yes to get it to public comment. Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
I'll vote no on this one.
Passes 5-1. Item 10 is ordinance 2015-15, an ordinance to amend section 5-703 of the Franklin Municipal Code to increase the hotel motel tax from 4 to 5%, establishing a public hearing on June the 10th, 2025. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Thank you. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 11, which is a resolution 2025-34, resolution to consider whether to approve a funding request from Franktown Open Hearts to offset stormwater infrastructure, which is required in developing a new facility located on the northeast corner of Johnson Circle and Granberry Street. Is there a motion? And specify what that amount is in the request for your motion.
I will move to approve I'm sorry, I'm pulling up there we go.
Yeah.
Move to approve with option 2, which is funding in the amount not to exceed $450,000 with comments to come. Any questions?
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it for
Second
Comment.
by Alderman Berger.
comment.
Back to comments there by Alderman Baggett.
Mr. Mayor, if I might ask the city administrator and maybe Vernon, actually, I think the applicant was here, but
They are, but you asked to
Okay,
comment
thank you.
before I called them up to
I
make
appreciate
public
it.
comments, so.
this came before us we deferred this. Is that what we did the last time?
It was requested to be deferred by the applicant 2 weeks ago, so we just pushed it out on the schedule. But you've had it on your work session 2 or 3 times.
We deferred it again. We deferred it before.
I don't believe you did.
No.
Not as a board, you didn't. But we had a request to push it out 2 weeks.
Got it.
We originally scheduled it for last meeting, and they had asked
They
we
asked
push it
us
out
to,
2
okay.
weeks, and we did.
All right. I would love to hear from the applicant then, and then might have some more questions and discussion.
Did you want to make any comments prior to the applicant, Alderman Berger?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll ask Chris Barnhill to come up and Bridget Parks. These are the applicants, and I'll give them a few extra minutes.
We'd like to thank BOMA for the consideration of this request for financial assistance in addressing these stormwater issues on this piece of land. The county made the land available to us in order to partner with us in our efforts to provide educational and vocational programming to the underserved community in Franklin. But for the past 2.5 years, we've been seeking ways to address these water issues, which has significantly increased construction costs due to the delay in determining the best solution. Almost 3 years ago, our construction budget for an approximately 15,800 square foot structure was roughly $5.2 million. With the delay in determining how best to retain and then direct the stormwater, as well as seeking permission to direct it through FHA property, and given the rise in cost of construction, as well as more detailed plans that were prepared by our engineering and architectural firms, we're now looking at the full build budget of over $9 million, which includes approximately $750,000 of the off-site stormwater infrastructure work. Facing these dramatically increased construction costs, we began discussing potential financing options with several financing partners in the amounts of $2, $3, $4 million. But after much prayer and time and fasting, and in consideration of what our mission and goal of our project is, which is to finally build a permanent home for Franktown, we could not see progressing with the loan option. So last week, in a unanimous vote by the Franktown Board, we determined to adjust our construction plans so that we will, in fact, break ground by the October 31st deadline in accordance with the lease with the county. We will proceed with a phased construction plan for our building so that we will have little or no debt. We believe this is the most prudent use of our supporters' funds and maintains our 20-year track record of having no debt in our ministry. So this adjustment from the original plans of $9.2 million for the full 15,000 square feet building, including approximately $750,000 for the Johnson Circle work, will be reduced to the first phase construction of a 7,500 square foot building at a projected cost of only $6.2 million. The first phase accommodates the majority of our programming needs. It will include the auto bay, the skilled trades room, the STEM lab, performing arts space, classroom space, and even some office space. It will also include a culinary kitchen. As some of you may know, Calvin and Marilyn Lehue have generously donated funds to create a state-of-the-art culinary kitchen to honor Miss Daisy. So the kitchen will be named Miss Daisy's and Marilyn's Kitchen. Let me reiterate that this first phase will include all the site work and stormwater infrastructure, including all the off-site work for Johnson Circle, as well as all the required parking, fire lanes, on-site bioretention areas, and all the required landscaping. For our future phase 2, we will build the rest of the building, giving us additional space to fully contain all of our programming in one location. As of last week, we have received in donations and pledges a total of $5.2 million and have already collected 2.2 of that. We have several large fundraisers planned this summer and are optimistic we will raise the sufficient funds needed to complete this first phase of the building without any long-term debt. The Franktown Board wants to assure the Board of Mayor and Aldermen we are 100% committed and have 100% intention to break ground by October 31st, and will proceed with all the required stormwater infrastructure, including the Johnson Circle work, whether the Board of Mayor and Aldermen chooses to provide any financial assistance or not. The county made their contribution to our campaign. Now we are hoping and praying the city will follow suit. We hope the board will consider accepting Johnson Circle as a city street so that we are legally able to complete this infrastructure work, even if you choose not to provide any assistance in terms of funding. We will, however, humbly, gratefully appreciate should the city determine that some financial assistance for the off-site work is appropriate. Thank you.
Ms. Parks?
Good evening. My name is Bridget Parks. I grew up off Moore's Lane. I am married to a man who grew up in Cottonwood. We are like unicorns nowadays that we are both from here. We bought our house in Franklin starting in 2008 and still live here. And over that time have gotten to know Franktown and their mission. And we fully believe and support in what they are doing. As a mom of two very rambunctious boys, I know it takes a village. And I know that Franktown is a member of that village for many people in this area. And with their program and their building, we'll be able to be that support to many more. So I just wanted to let you all know, as a Franklin citizen, I fully support this mission and anything that the board is willing to do to help them, especially with the off-site infrastructure costs.
Thank you. Other comments for the board? Alderman Peterson.
Whenever we talked about this before, we discussed the availability of funding that could be used to assist them. And it says, the staff also recommended utilizing community development block grants and the city's portion of the county adequate facilities tax. And did we ever say what those numbers were?
There's sufficient funds within the county adequate facilities tax fund to do this. That would, to fund whatever choice you make. There are dollars available, but whatever funding level you're comfortable with, there is sufficient funds at this point to support that. That would be the top priority in terms of a funding source, that would be the best fit and also the place where there is some capacity. Community development block grant funds there's a lot of polls on that, and quite frankly, there's some uncertainty of what that program will look like in future years. So, and then the general fund obviously is a last resort in our view. So, whatever policy decision you all make in terms of the level of support, we can find a path, and I believe there's sufficient funds in the county adequate facilities tax component to do so.
Okay.
Any other comments?
So that would mean the whole 900,000 that they're asking? No, I said, would
Yes.
that mean there's enough for the
There would be.
entire 900,000?
There would be. Obviously, it limits your ability to fund other projects. But yes, you could do that if that was the board's will.
And the motion that was made was $450,000, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Any other board comments? Ready to vote? And if you'd restate your motion, just for clarification.
Yes, the motion was to provide funding in the amount not to exceed $450,000 of the requested amount.
Okay, ready to vote?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. There's nothing that says we have to do 900 or 450. We can do anything in between, right?
I have one clarification.
Yeah.
The original request focused on 50%.
Right.
And 900,000 was put out there, but we've also heard a lesser number in the 750 range. So maybe a clarification, is it the raw dollar amount or is it 50% not
This is
to exceed
yeah.
450? What, maybe that would help clarify.
See, that option 2 was stating 50, that to me, that comma after the 450 was just stating that was 50%. That's where that 450 came from. I did just, I would stick with the 450. And because it's coming from the county adequate facilities tax funds, and I don't believe there's a burden on the CBDG funds that I think some had concerns with.
Yeah.
The county has already given this property as far as leased, and this will be revert back to the county in the future should they not occupy the space. I won't go through all the other arguments that I made at prior meetings, but I made that there is a pretty good nexus here with the infrastructure improvements that the Franklin Housing Authority would benefit from as well. So it was a flat 450.
So just so I know, on option 2, you want us to strike after the comma and after that?
That'd be great, yeah.
Because this says up to or not to exceed. You're saying 450 period. So
Understood.
Okay.
450
Oh, yeah.
period. Let me restate the motion.
it should be
Please
the
do,
option.
because I'm confused on your motion.
Well, and
Because you said not to exceed
Yeah, that's the way it was read.
$450,000, and you're changing your motion, and you
but I
already have
didn't.
a
I
second.
didn't say. I did not say after the comma in my motion. To be fair, but the motion is to approve and provide funding in the amount of $450,000.
$50,000.
Okay.
That's really option 3. It's make it.
Option 3,
Yeah, 'cause you're saying
450.
Name and
450.
amount.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
And I will second that again.
okay.
Yes.
All right,
Thank
any
you.
other discussion? You ready to vote?
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
So, option 3 is provide funding in the amount of $450,000. Not to exceed, none of that,
Yeah.
50%, that's all out the window.
Right.
450,000. Okay.
Do you have an additional question, Alderman?
I guess my question was around the actual cost of this culvert, or the drainage. I think we've heard 900, we've heard 730 or 750. I don't know if we know, and I've seen your budget estimates, but I don't know exactly how to add up to get to
More than
the.
that.
So it's not exactly designed yet
Okay.
because we were waiting for approval and there's still some work that has to be done between the city and FHA and how this is going to work out. So the estimate we have is 750, but it's not fully designed in that there are going to be utilities that likely have to be relocated. There may be the potential to hit rock. There's things that are still unforeseen because it is construction. So the up to 900 would take care of that, and then all of those costs would have to be approved ahead of time by the city and inspected before they were ever released. So it would never exceed the amount actually spent.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Alderman Barnhill.
Well,
Do you have another question?
I did have one additional follow-up, and it was regarding the city's acceptance of the Johnson Road, the Johnson Circle Road. Do we need to include that in the motion? Or is that something, does the city have an opinion on that?
But I think it's kind of a chicken egg discussion in some ways, because our acceptance of it is that it rises to a acceptable city standard. And addressing this drainage, I believe, is a significant part of that. Is that accurate, Vernon? So,
I mean, it says, and for improving and dedicating the section of Johnson Circle and developing of a new facility. So you kind of are saying that?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time, Shauna?
Yeah.
does it say accepting it as a city facility?
And for improving and dedicating the section of Johnson Circle and developing a new facility located on northeast corner of Johnson Circle and Granbury Street. Dedicating the section of Johnson Circle means to us. Dedicating that road to us. I mean, of course, I think it's going to come through by plat, so you won't actually see it
Okay.
again, if that's what we're doing.
I just wanted to be sure if that was the intent of
And our acceptance is usually driven by meeting a city
we've
standard.
done.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And this would enable that.
Okay.
FHA is going to dedicate that as a city street. Is that the understanding?
I've talked to their attorneys, and that's how I understand it. I think they see the value in this
Yeah, they do.
becoming a city street. For
And
sure.
that's why I think this is one of the reasons why I'm for this, is because you're really able to help two organizations we support regularly and at the same time.
So are we still on option 3, $450,000?
The motion.
Flat.
Flat.
Not to exceed.
Had nothing to do with not to exceed.
Correct. Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
I will recuse myself because they are a beneficiary partner of my day job.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
And so it passes 5 with 1 abstention. Item 12 is City of Franklin Contract 2025-0166 with Gresham Smith and Partners for the water line relocation design for the Franklin Road Bridge replacement over the Harpeth River in the amount of $75,120. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Caesar. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Item 13 is Amendment 5, City of Franklin Contract Number 2020-012 with Hazen and Sawyer for no cost and modifications for the southeast wastewater capacity evaluation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? Alderman Barnhill.
Yes.
Alderman Blanton.
Yes.
Alderman Caesar.
Yes.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Alderman Berger.
Yes.
And Alderman Baggett.
Yes.
Passes unanimously. Any other business to come before this body? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Next time we're gonna say something else.